G'day guys, how are we? Welcome to the weekly roundup. It is Friday, March 22nd, 2024. And as always, so much going on in the world of boxing, especially if you're an Australian boxing fan like me, and I'm sure a lot of you out there as well. But also, of course, lots going on in the world scene. So this week, it's all been about one matter, and that is Tim Tszyu. Keith Thurman is off, and Sebastian Fundora will step in to take on Tim Tszyu in the main event on March 30th or March 31st here in Australia at the T-Mobile Arena. Keith Thurman apparently has a torn bicep. Haven't really seen anything from Keith just yet as far as a statement or any social media post or anything like that, but I'm sure it'll all come out. I think the main thing at the time was pretty much step aside, Keith, and let's figure out what we're going to do for this event. And to everyone's credit in this, to the fighters, to the promoters, to managers, everyone involved, maybe the arenas as well had to be involved, the broadcasters. Within 24 hours, we've managed to get Tim Tszyu versus Sebastian Fundora for the WBO and WBC 154-pound world title. So just, again, credit to everybody. I've got to say, especially to probably both Tim Tszyu and Sebastian Fundora. I know Tim's got a lot of credit so far because being obviously the main event. If he hadn't selected one of the other guys from the undercard, the odds are the whole show would have fallen apart and we would have had no event whatsoever. So Tim, being the ultimate professional, has just said, look, whatever. I did see an interview with Glenn Jennings who did say that it was pretty much a 2 or 3 minute conversation. He had to do the unenviable thing about going around breaking the news to Tim Tszyu at his house in Las Vegas, and probably I'm pretty sure he would have expected it anyway. But Tim Tszyu just said, "All right, well, what now?" So Glenn's put the options to him, of course, and Tim Tszyu is just instantaneously, if I can spit that out, has just said, "Let's just make it happen." So full respect and credit to Tim Tszyu, but also to Sebastian Fundora. Now he had I won't say it was a lesser fight. It was for the WBC interim 154-pound belt. He's then obviously been elevated up. So for him to now take on main event status against Tim Tszyu, now it wouldn't have taken much from his angle as either, I wouldn't have thought, to fight for two full belts. Obviously the payday would have been a lot more. So all concerned, I think it ended up being a no-brainer. There was a little bit of a whisper that Tim Tszyu might have chosen Erislandy Lara, the opponent for Michael Zarafa. And, geez, I can imagine the backlash if you had done that from Michael Zarafa and his camp. But, I mean, I'm not sure how true it is. Maybe it's just hearsay or whatever. But there were rumours that Tim had the option of fighting either Fundora or Lara and chose Sebastian Fundora, which I think is the right call. Now, contrary to what a lot of people have said maybe about the matchup and the late replacement, I think this is a great fight. I think overall the card balances out a lot better now, and I think we have a more complete and better card of fights, if that makes sense. So I just think Tszyu, Fundora, great matchup. Of course, we've already got Lara and Michael Zarafa in one of the co-mains on the card. Of course, Isaac Pitbull Cruz challenging Roller Ramiro, but also Brian Mendoza stepping up against Sergey Boachuk for that WBC interim title. I think the card's got a really balanced look about it, and I think Fundora probably brings a little bit more to the table than Keith Thurman, apart from the name and the resume. We all know Thurman was in America anyway, sort of the A side of the promotion. Of course, here in Australia, it was all about Tim Tszyu, but I just think Fundora, take away all the profiles and resumes and all that sort of thing. I think Fundora is a harder fight for Tim Tszyu. If you haven't seen him, he's 6'5", 6'6", whatever it might be. The two did face off today in Las Vegas, and the size difference is just massive. Well, no matter who he fights, it's going to be massive. And it was quite, amusing, I suppose you'd want to call it, to see Tim Tszyu looking up at Sebastian Fundora. But that means nothing when they get in the ring. I think we're going to have a great fight. I think there might be some nervous moments early for Tim. I think Sebastian Fundora will come out and let a few go. But I just think as the fight goes on, I think Tim Tszyu chops Sebastian Fundora down and comes home to Australia with the WBO and WBC 154-pound belts. And that's probably the main positive to come out of the whole thing. And once the dust settled with the disappointment of Thurman being out, you got to remember it was a non-title fight. So the fact that now we've gone from a non-title fight to two belts on the line, again, I just think the outcome is better for everyone concerned. And even the bigger carrot at the end of it all is the fact that now Terence Crawford has enacted his status or his right as being the WBO 147-pound champion. He's now stated that he wants to fight the winner of Tszyu versus Fundora, and he will be automatically elevated to the number one WBO ranking, which means we could get Tszyu versus Crawford in May. I think they did say June. I'm probably more thinking July, even August at this stage, to have that super fight. And I know there has been some things thrown around that if they did fight, it could be in Australia. I don't think there's any chance whatsoever it happens in Australia. I think, I don't think we could generate the amount of money to get Terence Crawford over here. But the main things are, I think, is that Tim Tszyu and his team, they want to take America by storm now. I think they've done the Australian thing. Not to say they might not come back, but I think they've done the Australian scene, and they want the big fights in the States, like his dad did, and like all the super athletes or super boxers in the world now and in the past. They all want to fight in the States, and of course in Las Vegas. So I think that is the main factors in if they do fight being in Las Vegas. And the other thing is, you got to remember from the promotional point of view is that the pay-per-views from Australia will be absolutely massive. Now, that's going to be the same whether it's in the States or in Australia. And with the gate, yes, we could get 15 or 20, or if they had it at one of the biggest stadiums, maybe 30 or 40, who knows. But the thing is, over in the States, it's not necessarily about the gate. Now, they'll probably get 5 to 10,000. Maybe Aussies might make the track over there. But I just think the gate is very much secondary to the overall promotion and the amount of money that it brings in. And that's why I think it's all about the pay-per-views and the status that it's probably one of the biggest fights in boxing just has to be in the States, and more specifically in Las Vegas. So something to look out for there. And as I said as well earlier, we had the open workouts in Las Vegas, so all the fighters were there, I think, or bar one or two. So, of course, apart from Tim Tszyu and Sebastian Fundora facing off, I did see that Lara and Zarafa faced off as well. Roller Ramiro was there. I didn't see Isaac Cruz. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I did see Roller Ramiro there, and I'm sure Brian Mendoza will be there as well. So, yeah, just look, it's an exciting week to come. We're almost in fight week. We're about 3 days away, so really looking forward to that, and especially getting over there myself and getting to the Liam Wilson fight and then up to Tszyu versus Fundora. So on to some more Aussie news. I just mentioned Liam Wilson there. There has been talk that possibly his fight with Oscar Valdez may be for the vacant WBO 130-pound title. Now, it's a 12-round non-title fight at the moment. But Wilson's ranked number 2. Valdez is ranked number 4. The champion, Emmanuel Navarrete, is moving up to challenge for the 135-pound version of the WBO title against Dennis. I did have it written here. Excuse me. It's on May 18 in, I think it's San Diego, I think, from memory. No, sorry. Yes, it's San Diego. Dennis Berenchek. Sorry, I get the Russian names mixed up a little bit. So that'll be for the WBO 135-pound title, which means that vacant title at 130 is there for the taking. So the fact that Wilson's number 2 and had that really controversial fight against Navarrete last year, and, of course, Oscar Valdez with his fight with Navarrete, but as well as the fact that he's a 2-time world champion as well. I think it's a no-brainer to have these guys fight. As I said, they're ranked number 2 and 4 at the moment. Make it for the WBO belt with the winner having to defend it against the number 1 ranked challenger next. I think, as I said, a no-brainer for that big fight in Glendale, Arizona on March 29th. So Good Friday in the States. Last weekend, we had the big fight night at the Fortitude Music Hall. Conor Wallace improved to 12-1 with a 6th-round stoppage over Jack Gibb, who dropped to 7-0. Just to correct that, Conor Wallace improves to 13-1. Apologies. Jack Gibb drops to 7-1. That was at 10 rounds at light heavyweight. Jake Wiley had an impressive knockout over Ashley Houston, and that was for the Australasian super lightweight title. They were probably the main fights on the card. And of course, we had on Wednesday night the no limit card. Probably the less said about this one, the better. Danilo Crea was in line to fight Nikita Tszyu next month in a pay-per-view here in Australia. He struggled to a 4-round draw. against New Zealand journeyman Marcus Haywood. So Crea, short notice, but he drops to 8-1-1. Haywood drops to 7-6-2. The score is 38-38 times 2 and 39-37 for Crea. So a majority draw. And I know Crea had a very, very limited preparation. When I say limited, I'm talking days. So I'm not quite sure what sort of condition he was in. But the fact he struggled in a 4-round main event, if you will, a 4-round draw with Haywood, who was a late replacement himself or a late addition to the card, didn't really do himself any favours. He did actually suffer, I won't say a nasty cut, but it was definitely a cut that's going to need some healing. So I'm not quite sure he's going to meet that deadline of about 5 weeks away to fight Nikita Tszyu. But just judging on that performance, I don't think he can share the ring with Nikita Tszyu anyway. I think that is a very gross mismatch. But we'll see. On the undercard, one fight that did save the card, I will say, Adam Spall improved to 3-0-1 with a 6th-round decision over Jason Fawcett, who dropped to 7-2. The score was 58-56 times 2 and 58-56 for Fawcett. And the other fights on that card, Darangara Truella had an impressive 4-round decision over John Wheater. He improves to 3-0. Wheater drops to 0-2. And a bit of a fall from grace, I will say, for Nathaniel May on this card. He had a 4th-round stoppage of Louis Maava. He improves to 23-4. Maava drops to 4-5. I think that's how you pronounce it, Maava, however you want to pronounce it. But Nathaniel May went from being the main event on this card to opening the card in just a 6-round prelim fight. So hopefully he might get that fight with, I think it was Tyson Lantry, or maybe the Jackson John England rematch might be out there at some stage as well. But he did look a little bit pudgy, I will say. Nathaniel May, I know it's a little bit taboo these days, but did not look in the peak of fitness, if you ask me. So probably a good thing that he was pretty much demoted to one of the prelim fights. But so hopefully he'll get back on track, drop down or back down to featherweight, or worst case super featherweight. And we might get some good fights out of Nathaniel May as he goes into the twilight of his career. Disappointing result for Wade Ryan. He went to Tokyo, Japan to take on Takeshi Inway, who, of course, fought Tim Tszyu a couple of years ago. It was a 12-round draw. So Wade Ryan drops to 22-11-1. Inway drops to 20 wins, 2 losses, and 3 draws. That was for the OPBF and WBO Asia Pacific Super Welterweight title. So now, no doubt there might be a rematch in that one. But a good performance by Wade Ryan. The fact he got a draw in Japan is actually a very good result when you think about it. And let's hope he gets another crack at Inway going forward. Some events this weekend. We won't go through the entire cards on. I think there's like 6 or 7 shows for the weekend. We'll just go through the main ones with the main fight. So this Saturday night at the Caloundra RSL in Queensland, it's Punch for Pay Promotions. Dana Coolwell, 12-2. He'll take on Fernando Tagpuno, who's 7-2. That's for the IBO Intercontinental Featherweight title. And the main fight on the undercard of that is Deanna Hobbs, 11-2. She'll take on Tawana Campbell, who's 4-2-1 over 10 rounds at Super Featherweight. Up in Ipswich in Queensland at the JBS Basketball Arena, Icons Entertainment presents Paulo Acuso up against Emmanuel Danso. Acuso is 6-0. Danso is 35-7. That's over 10 rounds at light heavyweight, or actually might even be cruiserweight, either way. And the main undercard fight on that is Desley Robinson, 5-2. She'll take on Kay Scott, 1-0 over 8 rounds for the Australian middleweight female title. In Gippsland on the Wildfighter promotion by Will Thompson, of course, Max Reeves, 8-0-1, will take on veteran Adrian Rodriguez, 13-7-2 over 10 rounds for the Australian middleweight title, and Blake Wells is on the undercard of that one. Next Wednesday, March 27th at the Brisbane Powerhouse, Ace Boxing presents Taylor Robinson, 9-1. She's going to take on Gloria Gallardo, 14-2-2 for the IBO Super Flyweight World title over 10 rounds. So that should be a great test for Taylor Robinson. Let's hope she can get through with a win in that one. And the main undercard fight will be Lewis Chadwick, 4-1. He'll take on Ben Horn, 6-6 over 8 rounds for the IBO Oceania Super Welterweight title. Now that is the first event for Ace Boxing and 7 Plus. and that will be live and free on that network. So make sure you check that out. The first Premier Boxing Series event. Can't wait for that. All right, on to the world scene. We had the first press conference this week for Canelo Alvarez, Jaime Munguia. They fight on May the 4th at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas for the undisputed 168-pound titles. Canelo Alvarez, 60 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws. Munguia is 43-0. I, for one, love this fight. I know we're all after the David Benavidez fight. I've got a feeling that might happen in September if all goes according to plan. But if it's not that fight, I think this is the second best fight. Munguia, 43-0 for a reason. Obviously, hasn't had the same type of, or has the same type of resume as a Canelo or Benavidez or some of these types of guys, but has got a very impressive record. Comes to fight, I think it'll be very entertaining while it lasts, and a good test for Canelo Alvarez. Interesting that Canelo Alvarez said that if he was offered between $150 and $200 million, he might take on David Benavidez. So maybe that was a message to our friends in Saudi Arabia. Let's see. But Canelo Alvarez has got the second week of September booked for Las Vegas for his second fight of the year. So let's hope and keep the fingers crossed that it's David Benavidez. Last weekend, I should say, William Zepeda improved to 30-0 with a 4th round knockout or stoppage of Maxie Hughes, who dropped to 26-7-2. That was at the Cosmopolitan in Las Vegas on the DAZN event. And there's talk that maybe Zepeda might now fight Shakur Stevenson for the WBC 135-pound title. Now, Stevenson's scheduled to fight on July 6th in Newark, New Jersey. So who knows how that'll all work out. But the timing might just work for Zepeda to step in. It was a very impressive performance by Zepeda, just an absolute punching machine. So that would be an entertaining fight if he comes up against Shakur Stevenson. So we'll see there. Last weekend in Birmingham, England, I should say. Joyce improved to 16-2 with a 10th round stoppage of Cash Ali. He dropped to 21-3. Interesting that Joyce weighed 286 pounds, a fair bit over his normal fighting weight of about 250 to 260 pounds. So if he's going to get back into the swing of things in the heavyweight division, he probably needs to drop a little bit of weight. Now, I mentioned earlier as well, Emmanuel Navarrete will fight Dennis Berinchyk on May 18 in San Diego on ESPN for the vacant WBO 135-pound title. Navarrete 38-1-1. Berinchyk is 18-0. Should be a ripper scrap, that one. Both of these guys come to fight and throw a lot of punches, so it should be a really entertaining fight, that one. Another fighter on his way back is Adrian Broner. He's 35-4-1. He's returning on May 31 against Blair Cobbs, who's 16-1-1. And just finally, Devin Haney, Ryan Garcia at this stage is still on. We are only about 4 to 5 weeks away, so we're getting closer and closer. But the WBC and the New York City Boxing or New York State Boxing Commission have investigated Ryan Garcia's erratic behaviour, and so far, so good. I'm just hoping Ryan Garcia gets himself together, and maybe this is a little bit of a play on things to get people talking about the event. I don't know. But he has put some stuff on social media, sparring on the pads that has looked good. But on the other hand, he has put some stuff on there that's quite bizarre. But for Devin Haney, business as usual, and you will see 100% prepared Devin Haney on April 20th. Let's hope we get the same from Ryan Garcia. So that's about it, guys. Hope I haven't forgotten anything. I'm sure you'll let me know if I have. Now, this will be the last one of the last update for a couple of weeks. I'm heading over to the States on Tuesday, March 26th, to Arizona and then to Vegas. So I will be doing a lot of content from over there. But as I said, this will be the last update for, say, 2, if not 3 weeks. So hope to see you all on YouTube watching the videos while I'm gone. And until I come back and bring you the weekly update, we'll catch you then.